So it looks like in the 23rd century, Mars will be much closer to Earth. Ensign Chekhov responds by saying, "Aye, sir." Lieutenant Uhura outranks him, so she says, "Aye, aye, sir." So how much rank do you need to say,
Ay, 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 ay.
They seem to have forgotten everyone's names. Spock thinks this guy's name is Zeon. Kirk thinks this guy's name is Ecos. And now Kirk doesn't even know his own doctor and friend.
Jim, I'm your doctor, and I'm your friend.
Then he says he never met John Gill, however, he knew him very well. Just what's going on here? And when did Lieutenant Uhura become able to fire phasers from communications? Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where we grade each episode as a school project and rip it apart and mix it around in ways never thought of before. Today's episode is Patterns of Force. The Enterprise is looking for a missing historian who thought he could fix a struggling planet's government by introducing a socialist form of government. Obviously, he wasn't around during the 2020 election. The socialist leader he chose promised an empire to last 1,000 years and united everyone with wokeness that blamed Zeons for all their problems. So these are famous last words from Spock. The first thing they encounter is a hostile craft, which is reaction powered and is armed with a nuclear warhead, much more advanced than what the Ecosians should have. I wonder who gave that technology to them. This is a little harsh. Kirk has already sentenced him to death. According to the backstory, the Ecosians have always been warlike, and the Zeons are technologically advanced and peaceful. First point is lost for the captain and first officer beaming down together. They should know by now that he's not supposed to do that. The next point is lost for this transponder. It is only used in this episode so they can make a jailbreak later, a simple plot device. The third point is lost for beaming down without a security or research team. That's not safe at all. The first thing Kirk thinks is, wow, this looks just like the Paramount backstage. And -1 point for having a cafe sign in English. And a point is lost for using the Nazi swastika. I know this is the plot of the whole show, but this planet would have its own symbols to use. The costume designer just wanted to save money. This is Spock's way of saying, Captain, we're up shit creek. Shout out to William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, who are both Jewish, and all the others on the show with Jewish heritage. This was filmed only 20 years after World War II, so it must have been rough for many of them. I guess I will take another point here, since the alternate Earth shows are always mid-20th century. They even carry the 20th century Earth bashing into the next generation as well. William Shatner does have a bit of an accent. On the show, he calls it Nazi Germany.
Attention everyone, attention!
Sounds like they're at a summer camp now.
Attention, attention!
Here come the announcements that this is a better place. The Zeons are being obliterated, they shot down a spacecraft. Everything you see on Chicken Noodle News is correct. There is no evidence of election fraud, and it must be true since the fact checker didn't appear. John Gill's goal was trying to introduce the Nazi work ethic to the people, but Melicon must have really drugged him to get out all the bad stuff. He even got the German language out, and that actually answered a lot of their questions. The next surprise on the planet is Belar from Beta 3. He is still in search of the Archons and followed them here disguised as a Nazi guard. And again, a simple rabbit chop knocks him out. The next point is lost for the uniform. If you look closely, on Spock's sleeve the lettering spells Adolf Hitler, who was never on this planet. It should say John Gill, or maybe Melicon. Obviously, the costume designer didn't know I would be looking this close. Now check this out. The Gestapo guard tries the Vulcan pinch, so Spock shows him how to really do it. I don't think Kirk is happy about that comment. How do Germans feel about watching this show? The Nazis may have been dirtbags, but were very efficient and now make excellent bad guys in TVs and movies. And now video games even. Even Battlestar Galactica had Nazis. What is it like to turn on TV and it's, oh good, another TV show about Nazis? That must be tiring after a while. I lived in Germany for 2 years, and trust me, there is much more about that country that goes unnoticed. Getting back to the show, the Colonel says something about Spock's collar, and then the ears are a big giveaway. This is to remind you, whenever you're whipping somebody, you have to make a funny face. In this scene, they remembered that Spock has green blood. Look closely at Isaac's blood on the left-hand side of his mouth. Now it's on his right, so -1 point. And why didn't he wipe that blood off while he was in jail? Chairman Enig knows something's up since he has seen their weapons. This is one of the rare times they couldn't get them to work. You gotta look out for those kind ones. They have an evil streak. Oh look, the blood on his cheek switched sides again. So the backstory is the Zeons abandoned their tribal fighting, got rather technologically advanced, and decided to help their neighbors, the Ecosians, who were still caught up in tribal fighting. But John Gill's method of bringing in Nazi efficiency also united them to blame the Zeons for all their problems. You could say that here on Earth, tribal infighting is what allowed and encouraged imperialist countries to walk in and colonize and stop the fighting. Then hundreds of years later, wokeness arrived. Oh look, they conveniently have transponders this time. The next point is lost here because Captain Kirk's handcuffs are clearly not locked. This is a good "that's what she said" line. Even in jail, they do take time to make light of their situation. It looks like Kirk has been in jail longer than we thought. This is the oldest trick in the book and it still works. They really don't have much security in this building, do they? They found the communicators, which are broken, and they destroyed the transponders. The Enterprise should have sent down a search party, but they didn't, so -1 more point. They found the Batcave.
They help you escape from the...
Of course, constantly saying you need to speak to the Fuhrer without saying why can send up a red flag and make everyone nervous. Yeah, I don't think he's buying that story at all. Spock fixes one of the communicators, but Kirk says the Enterprise is out of range. Just how far away did it go? And what exactly is the range of the communicators? That's why you should always have a spare landing party on the ground, but they didn't do it. And why are the walls of the cave so shiny? Now comes the underground, posing as Nazis. I hope the underground cells have a way of telling each other apart so they don't end up taking each other out. That would end up as a gooey mess. Here's the first time you hear about Melicon taking over. And now Kirk finally tells them who he is. I think it should be okay to break the Prime Directive before you almost get killed. It would save a lot of problems. So he was only here to observe. And did he have an observation team with him? We will never know. Look closely, not at the guards who are really terrible at their job, but at that car coming in. It's a Mercedes. How did a 1930s era German car make it to a distant planet that is going through a 1930s Nazi regime? So -1 point for overkill on historical accuracy. This is the same hallway they were in earlier today. And seriously, do you need a swastika sticker on everything? I think that's a little bit of overkill too. I believe Spock wants to go to the casino next. Melicon has lights on his butt. This is a very odd arrangement. Sleepy John is just behind the curtain 10 feet away, but they still watch him on the view screen in the other corner. Isaac wants to shoot through the door. Didn't he talk about how peaceful he was just a few minutes ago? They find John Gill, but he doesn't look so good. No, Isak, how many times do we have to say, you are a pacifist? The next point is lost, since they waited for a crisis moment to call the Enterprise instead of testing the communicator right away. And the Enterprise never did send that search party after 3 hours like they were supposed to, so -1 more point. This is when we learn the Enterprise has a buttload of costumes and uniforms available for everyone. Azok may hate the Ecosian men, but he likes drinking with the Ecosian ladies. Is it really necessary to have a uniform for Dr. McCoy and not just a generic civilian outfit? The reason is so you can have this line, and the bickering with Spock about the boot, so -1 point for an unnecessary costume. Although the uniform did help in this drunk doctor scene, but not everybody in the party is in the military. I'm sure they all wanted to do McCoy's hail by the end of this episode. Melicon is thinking, they'll be doing this to me next. I'm just going to push Joe Biden out of the way and I'm going to push John Gill out of the way and take over. Yes, my videos aren't politically charged at all, not one bit. As John Gill gives his speech, they're thinking, that's it? He didn't say anything. Melicon's thinking, it's great because I wrote that for him. They must be watching this from a different angle since I can't see his mouth at all. And this observation just means that he's speaking like a politician. I'm sure this was his original goal. Kirk thinks he's on Fantasy Island.
Smiles, everyone, smiles.
These guards really suck at their job, and I will have to take a point here. So look closely, not only do they let perfect strangers surround them, Isak's guard starts to pass out too soon, so -1 point for reacting too soon. From this angle, it doesn't look like he's behind the microphone at all. Here is proof they stole only Xeon technology they wanted. They can launch a nuclear missile, but have no security alarms on their doors. I'm going to take a point here, since I'm pretty sure the tricorder can detect drugs in your system. Minus one more point here for aiming a machine gun at the person you're trying to save. One mistake and he's toast. And now Kirk is aiming the machine gun at Spock, so minus one more point. Don't they go to weapons training before they go on the show? They need to hurry up because Melicon has ordered the final solution. They really don't know how to hold weapons, do they? Here's why the tricorder can't tell what kind of a drug he's on, so McCoy can't give him an antidote, just a stimulant, and Spock has to save the day with a mind meld. Melicon definitely has the me next mentality. Darius wants Kirk to destroy that fleet, even though she has friends on those ships. Her and Isak together could also start their own reign of terror if you look at it. Kirk's like, yeah, we're not doing that either. Does this mean they have Bidenized him? Here is John Gill's backstory. He saw the Nazis as efficient organizers, and Spock suggests he thought it could be done in a benign way, but as an observer, he still isn't supposed to meddle in other planets' affairs, and look what happened. So it's time to throw that playbook out the window, and only John Gill can do it. But guards are coming, and Spock is like, oh good, rat out the guy with the pointed ears again. This actually works in their favor since it distracts Melicon, and Inig is one of the underground. Just how many of the Nazi party are members of the underground? I'm sure Melicon's really excited about this because it'll definitely boost his ratings and his ego. So John Gill is on drugs from Melicon, a stimulant from McCoy, a mind meld from Spock, and now another stimulant from Kirk. He must be one happy camper right now. Melicon just keeps going, and Spock's like, are you serious about what you're saying? John Gill sets the record straight. You can see his mouth this time. Melicon's like, nope, don't want to hear that. This is what he's really saying.
I can't in good countenance continue showing you this.
The secret is out. Melicon is a traitor and an asshole. It's a good thing Kirk wasn't in front of the window, and Isak finally gets to kill someone. As you can see, the Nazi guard only aims at Isak, and the chairman says there's been enough killing, let's not have a bloodbath today. This is the moral of the story for this episode, and John Gill dies. Aww. Ironically, Darius, Isak, and Inig are all part of the underground and have just moved up in ranks in the Nazi party. And they're going on the air to talk to the people. Are they going to talk peace or create their own empire of carnage? We will never know. Spock says they would make a good addition to the Federation, but don't they have to achieve warp drive on their own first? Or is that one of those rules that changes 79 times? Back on the Enterprise, Kirk gets to take a jab at the Nazis. Spock questions John Gill's ideology. Dr. McCoy mansplains it to Spock. And Spock and McCoy get into their once every episode bicker fest. And officially, that wasn't a civil war they just went through. That's a war between two separate planets. Did Kirk just ask Uhura if she has any kids? And if he's in such a hurry to get out of orbit, why does he say warp 2? That's only 8 times the speed of light. Chekhov's like, that's not much of a hurry, is it? They fly off into space and live happily ever after. So who were the Zeons and Ecosians? Because of archive footage, Hitler has credit on IMDb for this show. What's up with that? Lev Mailer was also Bilar on Return of the Archons. He has 25 screen credits and has a successful career behind the camera as an acting coach. Gilbert Green has 74 screen credits during his life, including Fantasy Island and a Nazi general on Hogan's Heroes. William Wintersoul was Abram, has close to 90 screen credits, including Mission Impossible and a long run on The Young and the Restless. Richard Evans played Isaac with 90 screen credits. Patrick Horgan played Inig. He was born in Nottingham and has recorded several talking books for the blind. He also spent 4 years on the TV soap opera The Doctors. David Bryan was John Gill, served with the Coast Guard during World War II. He has 75 screen credits to name, including tons of old westerns. He even has a star on the Walk of Fame. Yes! Skip Hopmeyer played Melicon. This is not the first time he played a Nazi. He has 130 screen credits to his name, and we will see him again on Star Trek next year as Dr. Severin, another deranged leader. But Laura Nolan played Darius and was in some of the Beach Party movies. Her parents fled Nazi Germany in 1939, and she was not thrilled about wearing that swastika on her uniform in the show. Patterns of Force, which showed that trying to revive the efficient side of the Nazi regime still wouldn't work, gets a score of 82%. And if you ever get a chance once the flu season is over, go visit Germany and see what it's really like. That's it for now. Be sure to check out my videos and playlists. Click that like button, the subscribe button, and that share button, and I will see you again soon.